All right, today we're diving into one of literature's most, well, let's call them inventions, the self-made man. And our subject? Oh, he's a real piece of work, Mr. Josiah Bounderby. This is a guy whose entire identity is built on this grand story of hardship. But here's the thing, he doesn't use it to inspire people. Nope, he uses it like a weapon.
Yeah, let's just park it right here for a second, because this one line, it tells you almost everything you need to know about this guy. He doesn't just boast, he can never sufficiently boast. Think about that. This isn't just pride, it's something else. It's this compulsive, almost aggressive performance he puts on for literally anyone who will listen.
So, who is this guy really? Before we get into the whole legend he spins for himself, let's just take a look at the man himself, his physical presence.
And just look at how he's described here. It's a perfect match for his personality, right? Inflated like a balloon. I mean, he is literally puffed up with his own self-importance. But that last line, that's the real key, isn't it? The bully of humility. That's the paradox at his very core. He actually bullies you with his story of being a victim. It's wild.
And that whole bully of humility thing, well, it brings us right to the legend itself, the story he's polished and perfected over the years. And get this, he doesn't tell it with any shame. Oh no, he tells it with this incredible, boastful pride.
And this is always his opening line, his opening shot. He doesn't just say he was poor or from a rough neighborhood. Nope, he was born in a ditch. I mean, you have to admit, it's a brilliant piece of personal branding, right? It immediately sets the stage for this heroic climb from the absolute bottom.
And from there, the misery just piles on and on. He wasn't just sick, he was sick with everything. He wasn't just dirty, he was so repulsive that, and this is his quote, "You wouldn't have touched me with a pair of tongs." Every single detail is perfectly crafted to make his survival seem that much more miraculous.
Okay, so what about family? A safety net, maybe? Ha, non-existent. Whenever his mother comes up, his response is just so cold and immediate. See, she didn't pass away, she wasn't forced to give him up. In his words, she bolted. That specific word, it just dismisses any hint of tragedy and really hammers home this idea of his total, complete abandonment.
So what about the one family member who did stick around? His grandmother? Oh, well, in his version of the story, she's an absolute monster. He paints this picture of an old woman so wicked she would literally steal the shoes off his feet just to sell them for a drink. And then we get this line. "That was the cot of my infancy, an old egg box." This is his masterpiece, his Mona Lisa of misery. It's the one single unforgettable image that cements his entire narrative. He wasn't just poor, you see. His first bed was actual garbage.
So, the big question is, how does a guy get from an egg box to owning a bank? Well, the way he tells it, as you can see here, is this super clean, heroic progression. He takes all that chaos and messiness of life and just flattens it into a straight line. It's a ladder that he climbed step by step with absolutely no help from anyone, from vagabond to tycoon, all by himself.
And really, that's the whole point of the story, isn't it? It all serves to build up this one single core identity, the self-made man. Nobody to thank for my being here but myself. It's a declaration of absolute total independence. It's not just that nobody helped him. He makes a specific point of saying, nobody threw me out a rope. So what kind of worldview does a story like that create? Well, it leads to a total rejection of anything that isn't hard, practical, and, profitable. We're talking about things like feelings, fancy, imagination, all that stuff is just nonsense to him, which, of course, makes him the perfect ally for the ultra-rational Mr. Gradgrind.
And you can see there, let's call it a perfectly toxic partnership right here. Gradgrind, he provides the high-minded philosophical framework. Reason is the only faculty that matters. And then Bounderby comes in with the brutal real-world enforcement. Imagination is a cursed bad thing, especially, he says, for a girl like Louisa.
So when Gradgrind's own kids are caught, get this, peeking at a circus, it's treated like a major crime. For a guy like Bounderby, this isn't just kids, being being curious. No, it's a symptom of a disease he calls idle imagination.
And this, right here, this is the moment his story truly becomes a weapon.
When I was a vagabond, he says, nobody looked with any interest at me. He's using his own supposed suffering not to connect with other people, but to completely invalidate their feelings. And the great irony, the really tragic part, is that his own experience with hardship seems to have completely wiped out any shred of empathy he might have had.
This whole war on imagination, it's not just some abstract philosophy. It has a real human cost. And we see the true price of all these facts in a really chilling interaction between Bounderby and Gradgrind's young daughter, Louisa.
So after he's done lecturing the kids, he turns to Louisa and, well, he basically demands payment for his trouble. He frames affection, a kiss, as a simple transaction. It's like a bill that needs to be paid for his services in setting things right.
Now, listen really carefully to how she replies here. She doesn't say yes. She doesn't offer a kiss. She says, "You can take one, Mr. Bounderby." It is not an offer, it's a concession. That's the kind of language you use when you're allowing someone to remove an object from your possession. It's so cold. And what happens next is it's the tragic results of an education that has zero room for feeling. She doesn't have the words to express her own sense of violation, no way to process her disgust. So her body just takes over. She literally tries to scrub his touch off her skin, rubbing her own cheek raw with her handkerchief.
And it all culminates in this absolutely devastating line. Her brother, Tom, asks her what's wrong, and she says, "You may cut the piece out with your penknife if you like. I wouldn't cry." Just think about that. It is the ultimate victory of facts over feeling. She would rather have her own flesh physically cut away than admit to having or even showing an emotion. Which really brings us to the central question of this entire character, doesn't it? Bounderby's whole identity is built on this self-made narrative. But that story, it's become his excuse to bully, to dismiss empathy, to just demand whatever he wants. The very legend he created to celebrate his own humanity seems to be the thing that has completely destroyed it. And so it leaves us wondering, when does a story about overcoming hardship stop being an inspiration and just become an excuse?